left.
The liberation of mutant kind has begun.
Welcome to the future.
Voice is clown.
Not clown. Joker.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Nobody tampers with the equipment except Tony Stark.
Good idea.
United, the Avengers are strong.
Hawkeye, hands off.
Fool! Have you forgotten my invincible magnetic power?
Not this time, Magneto.
My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poison, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the gas.
What?
Pick of the week.
What?
Hello? Oh.
What? Apparently,
God.
apparently we have a pick of the week.
We are the pick of the week.
But yeah, the Two Fat Guys Pull Us episode 48 is our pick of the week, guys. No, I don't. I think my stream deck is all jacked up. What up, YouTube? We're
Hello.
live for episode 48. Been doing 48 of these. It's crazy. Anyway, we got to get through this our little business section here first, and then we're gonna get on to this, the meat of this episode, which is this week's pulls. So, really quick, welcome everybody who's here currently watching. If you're watching this as a previous episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, get them notifications, give us a like. We're in the middle of a milestone giveaway currently. So our last milestone giveaway was at 250 subscribers, and we're trudging along to 500. So when we hit 500 subscribers, we're giving away this bad boy, this 9.4 CGC graded Wolverine #1 with the custom label.
Oh boy.
So at 500 subscribers, someone's getting this book. It's going to be freaking awesome when we give it away. Super, super awesome book. Pick this up with our stimulus check. So thank you. Thank you for that. But we're going to give this away at 500 subscribers. So, help us out. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and you're automatically entered to win this bad boy. So when we hit that 500, we're giving this thing away. So that's the first part of the news that we got, our business. And the other thing we got to talk about is our Two Fat Guys Pull List Mystery Pool monthly comic book subscription service. And so we're we've got a subscription box service, a mystery box, if you will, with collected comics and games and Brainy Comics. Our LCS Ron owns. We partnered up with him to do this. We haven't set up the July box yet. I have put in the chat brainycomics.com for that specific item. But that being said, next episode or look on our social, we will tell you what the store exclusive is going to be for this box and what the key issue we're giving away for this box. So if you don't know what this is, you sign up for $40 plus shipping, and you get one store exclusive and then 4 to 7 back issues comprising anywhere between bronze, silver, and modern age books. And then you get a chance at winning one big key book. So like in May, we gave away, I can't remember what Spider-Man issue it was, but it was the one, it was the first.
252.
252, the first appearance of the symbiote suit on Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man. So, we give away, Ron gives away some pretty decent keys. So I think Professor Comics won that one in May. So July's will be up soon. If you're not following us on Instagram or Facebook, check us out at Two Fat Guys Pool List. We'll announce what we're giving away on there. And that'll probably happen like Tuesday or Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. So that is the business that we got to take care of. Let's check out chat. What's up, Patrick? What up, Calvin? I had a good week. Did you have a good week, Nate?
Yeah, we did lots of retail therapy this week.
Yeah,
and
we'll talk about that in this week's coming comic book haul, because Daddy spent some money, a lot of money, and it's not over. It's we're going back on Thursday. Either way, keep an eye out for our next comic book haul video, because we got some pretty cool shit coming down outside of our actual pools. So. It's been good. It's been fun. Let's get this started. We got to get going. So we're we're going to kick the show off with our X books with X Factor number 10, the conclusion of the Hellfire Gala. You know, there's a lot of things to be said about this book. There was some controversy, which I didn't know existed until I watched Comic Book Herald's video. You know, I wasn't aware of the controversy. So I got a little bit of enlightenment via that video. It was also, like we said, the conclusion of the Hellfire Gala, and it's also the conclusion of Williams's X Factor run, which is a little it's a little disappointing. It felt like this thing was finally getting off the ground, like it was really starting to take off, and we got the announcement last solicitations that it was over, which is sad. But I would say this book, I don't know, like there were parts of it that I really liked, and then there were parts of it that I was like, what are we doing here? And I think the reason why I was really frustrated, outside of the controversy that I learned about it later on, was the fact that it was really just like an overview of what happened in the gala, and like telling you, hey, go read this issue, go read this issue, go read this issue if you hadn't read any of it. So for someone that's actually pulling X Factor, I felt quite what's the word? I guess disappointed in that. Like, I don't want to be spoon-fed stuff that I've already read. I want new stuff.
Well, and you tie that into what new stuff we did get, felt extremely rushed. Like, there was obviously this book wasn't, Leah Williams didn't plot this book out to end at 10 issues, and so she was trying to wrap up all of her plot points. And you could definitely tell that. And it seemed like, it almost seemed kind of unfair that, I don't know if she was forced into using so many pages for highlights, wrap up, or if that's just kind of how it ended up. But this book very much felt like a collage of different books kind of put together.
Yeah, I mean, and like, the whole Polaris joining the X-Men, I felt was sprinkled in a lot of the X books during Hellfire Gala, and it's like, okay, we get it, and it's like, it's almost like you should have saved when that should be sprinkled in a book, obviously in X Factor, because that's where she's been the longest, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
this is the only book it should have been mentioned.
Yeah, not in X-Men, not in, or I guess in X-Men, but everything, like, it was mentioned multiple times, and it was just kind of, I don't know, like, it was even in Excalibur, and you're like, nah, there's no reason for her to be mentioned in that. Like, this is where it should have shined, and it didn't really. It was like, oh, hey, congratulations. The controversy that happened in this book, which I feel like we should talk about, is, so, like you said, Williams was really rushed in tying up some storylines, right? And I completely forgot that, I think it's Prodigy.
Prodigy,
So he was killed. I completely forgot that happened. So like when this storyline, which was basically solving Prodigy's murder, I kind of had to sit there for a minute and go like, wait,
wait, what?
When did that happen? Yeah. And I agree. Like, I think, she just kind of popped it in there because she didn't have time. This is the last issue. And so the controversy really lies within Prodigy's death. And so what happened is, the creative team at Marvel used real stories, real events that have happened in our actual real life reality, whatever you want to call it, where there is this very wealthy guy who was basically stalking black queer men, and sexually assaulting them, and hushing them and telling them not to talk about what he did. And so they used that story or that event and put it in this book and kind of turned it around a little bit, and kind of flipped the name on the character, and kind of used that situation in this book. And it was very odd, and I obviously, when I read it, I had no clue, I had no idea about it. And then it started popping up on Twitter and on Comic Book Herald's videos that they kind of manipulated this event and put it in here and put it in Prodigy's death note, essentially.
Right.
And it was just, after I learned that, I was like, that's kind of odd. That's a little weird. Essentially, the character in the book was doing those same things, but then he would kill the men. Like, he would, after he did what he did, he would kill him. So Prodigy ended up getting killed by this person. And so he goes back and, you know, he left clues for himself. And he finds the guy, and he ends up taking revenge, right? He doesn't kill him, because if he does, he'll get in trouble with Krakoa, but he makes the dude suffer. And also, I think Eye-Boy, like, follows him, and here's another thing that, like, we were teased that Eye-Boy was getting stronger, right? But then suddenly now he knows eyeball jujitsu, and he can he can do a Kamehameha, like, energy blast.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the, like, things they do to torture the guy, which was kind of crazy. I thought it was cool, but I was like, where did that come from? Like, that came out of nowhere.
It very much, it was out of nowhere.
So, you know, we'll probably see that in the trial of Magneto, I would assume. I think that's going to be a very big... I think Eye-Boy is going to be very crucial within the next chapter of Krakoa, whether that's Inferno or what.
I hope so.
I think you will.
I've enjoyed him as a character. I think out of this whole book, he's probably one of my favorite, like developmental, like the characters that have been developed. You know what I mean?
Which is so funny, because when we first picked up X Factor, we were both kind of like, Eye-Boy? Like, who's this guy? Right? And now he's like one of our favorites. Patrick says Jaden's late. I know, man. What's going on?
It's probably because today is the extremely overrated American holiday.
Oh, 4th of July. Yeah.
Freedom Day.
It's probably blowing stuff up. Anyway.
Guns.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this book because it's ending at 10. It feels forced. It feels rushed.
Yeah.
And I think X Factor could have kept on going. Like, we've had discussions where you said, like, X Factor is actually one of the most pirated X books currently running, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, for whatever decision, Marvel's cutting it. I think Marvel's cutting it because it doesn't have the sales, but if they took into account that everybody's reading it online, pirating it, that should say something.
Surprised that more people haven't done more of these big corporations haven't done something about that.
Yeah, and you know,
who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a hard thing to track down. You know, Comic Book Herald said it best. This is probably the most open LGBTQ plus book in Marvel and in the X line. And I think I think that it really shines because it's not apologetic about it. But it's also not like in your face about it either. It just like it feels natural the way the book works, and when they put romantic scenes in there or whatever you want to say, like just life in general, it flows. It works. It's not like in your face. It doesn't have to be. And it's just I think it worked perfectly, and I thought the those ideas that some people, you know, within our own community, and I'm not saying Two Fat Guys community, but I'm saying the comic book community, really struggle with. I think this is a book that you could be like, here, read this, just read this, and this is how it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna have these themes in your books, look to this book to really set the example of like how it should flow and feel absolutely natural. And so I'm sad that this book is ending because I think, you know, and it's not to knock any of our other X books. All the other X books are great, but this one just felt very fluid, and it felt like there were a lot of voices, but it all felt like it was connected. And so I'm kind of sad that that's going away.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I don't know. I don't know that I have much more that I can add. Because I agree. The only thing that even I think added any relevance to this book is our big reveal at the end.
Right.
Which, go ahead.
Well, everybody saw it coming. I mean,
yeah. I mean, spoiler, just in case you haven't seen it or didn't know it was coming, but we get confirmation that Scarlet Witch has been killed.
has been murdered.
Has been murdered.
So yeah, we can go down that. We can go down that vein. I think we should, because that's where we're going to lead into with all of our other books. I'm just going to say right now, it's presumed that Magneto killed Wanda, because in Sword he invited her to the island. Now we can break this down. So in that Sword issue, he's not wearing his helmet. He's not. He's very actually not characteristically Magneto. The way he's written is just like out of left field. Oh, I'm trying to get my family back together, and I'm trying to show that I'm turning a new leaf with my family, and I'm trying to right amends. The interesting thing about this book is when Polaris runs into Magneto, he's a fucking dick to her. He's like, don't disgrace the House of M. You were always representing this house. Don't fuck up, right? And he's wearing his gala uniform. So at the end of the book, Wanda's dead. They're like, where's Magneto? I'm telling you now, it's not Magneto. Magneto didn't kill Wanda. It's Mystique. I'm telling you, it's Mystique. This is her first.
For sure.
This is her first domino to. Now, what she does, framing Magneto and how he takes it, we may get the villainous Magneto again, right? Like to turn, that might actually happen, and that might play into Inferno, right? And that's the whole point. Is Mystique is going to burn it down, and she's going to do it however she wants. So, yeah, it's clearly not her. I mean, dude, Wanda has choke marks on her neck in the book.
Oh, does she? I
yeah.
didn't notice.
Yeah, Flores says because it's not Eric, it's Mystique. No, it's totally Mystique. You're totally right. It's it's just not. It's pretty pretty clear.
Choke marks.
There's choke marks. Yeah, there is, dude.
Oh, you can't even see her neck. She's got her shawl on.
Let's go back to the tape, guys.
Already got us there, bud.
Pause for okay. All right.
I don't see no choke marks. Do y'all?
Okay. No. Not that page.
Oh.
Go back a couple more pages where Tommy's like, Mommy? them be fingerprints.
Yeah.
So if you see right there.
I guess so.
She's got choke marks on her face. Like I said,
I don't know. Yeah.
It
doesn't matter. It's not.
It doesn't. If Magneto wanted to kill her, he probably would have thrown.
Killed is killed. It doesn't matter how.
Yeah, you're right. Sure, fine, whatever. I'm just speculating here. So Calvin says, I see a lot of people rooting for Mystique to destroy Krakoa. I just don't get why anyone would support her. There's a section of mutants that have been denied access to Krakoa, and we don't know how many that is. But I mean, we know of Destiny, we know of Blindfold. And I'm sure there are others that are
Xavier damn near didn't bring Legion back.
Yeah, like he didn't want to do it. So I don't think it's a mass. It's a minority for sure. But there are. I'm sure that there. When we get into Inferno, when we get into Inferno, I think we'll start seeing a little bit more division in Krakoa that we haven't really seen in the books, even if it hasn't been expressed to us in writings. But I just think it might happen. I think there's a good chance that she'll have enough people on her side to really burn it down, especially if she lets everybody know what the hell's been going on. The fact that she's been blackmailed. Like, I think some people might get sympathetic to that and be like, Charles, you haven't been acting like yourself. And we'll have to see, is it Onslaught? Is it his twin? Like, we don't know. We're going to find out. But now we're kind of getting off the rails here. We'll get there at some point. But that's X Factor number 10. Disappointed how it ended and disappointed that it is ending. So, obviously looking forward to Trial of Magneto. I just hope it's not as cookie cutter as I think it might be. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it will be. All right. Next up, we have our last X book for the night, and that is Cable number 11. I really like this book.
This one was a lot of fun. I don't think it was too complex, but it was definitely a good time. Also, I'm just so sad that our that I had a weekly Phil Noto interior book, and that's going away.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me sad.
Very sad. So we essentially get Old Man Cable resurrected. Young Cable gets what he wants. Because he has the master key to Strife. Right. Knows what he's going to do, knows how he's going to do it. And so, essentially this book is Old Man Cable taking charge and saying, this is how we're going to do it. I need you to recruit. And the biggest reason why I like this book, and I'm sure you can tell where I'm going here, is the limited but awesome cliff notes or side notes or just notes of Deadpool in this issue. He's so fucking funny in this book. And it just makes me want... get over the rules. Maybe Inferno will open up Krakoa so that he can be on Krakoa. I want Deadpool in X-Men books. I want it. I think he deserves to be there.
I just don't think it's gonna happen.
I know it's not, but I mean, reading this, it's like even Jerry's like, come on, like I know I wrote him forever, but like, come on, he should be here.
Yeah,
he deserves to be in the party. So essentially, Old Man Cable is setting up to invade Strife's would-be invasion of Krakoa and Earth with demons and whatever. And while he's doing that, Young Cable is recruiting Domino and all the Summers and Magic and Deadpool. And essentially, we thought that Cable was in limbo. He wasn't. We don't know where he was, actually. I don't think it says in the book. Mm-hmm. But whatever dimension he was in and where Strife is in now, he basically says, once we're done with this little war here, I'm going to give this reality to Magic. Magic, you can have it.
Yeah.
So that's some pretty big implications there. But I think the biggest part of the book that I liked in here was the data page where it showed the war wagon and its logs of events.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was it 2022?
No, it is 2021.
So 2021, it says Summer Wars.
The Summers
War.
Yeah.
I really hope this happens.
Yeah, it's gonna have to happen quick.
Well, I gotta wonder if it's gonna be in the X-Men book, because Jerry's doing that book. Cyclops is part of that team. Cross your fingers. Like when I read that, I was like, hell yes, let's do it. I'm ready for some little mini events in our books.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Again, this is our penultimate issue. I hate to see it go. It's actually been really fun. There's definitely some seeds being dropped by Jerry that I think we'll see in other X-Men books or even other potential Al Ewing books. And I think the biggest one for me was the Last Guardian of Gondor or whatever, the robot, the Rom robot.
Rom, basically.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I need to talk to y'all. I need your help, and he's clearly trying to get the sword back. But I just feel like
we're like, hey, hold on a minute, we gotta do something.
We'll be right back. Yeah. So I think I want to believe that Jerry is kind of connecting dots for Ewing and other people in the X office, which I think he is, because he's picking up X-Men. I think he just wants to be more involved, and I have not had any complaints with Jerry's writing. I think it's been fantastic. I know we've got some people in our community that are not as happy with Jerry's writing, but so far I've been impressed. I haven't been disappointed. So, this is basically setting up for Old Man Cable to kick some major ass, stop Strife, which I think is going to happen. The question I have is, I think everybody's wondering is Young Cable going to survive?
No,
I feel like he's going to.
My initial thought was 100% no. As soon as they even started hinting at Old Man Cable coming back, I was like, oh man, They're getting rid of the kid. Like, it's for sure going back to old Cable again.
Right.
And now I'm just not so sure. Like, there's definitely room for both of them. You could have old man Cable move on to like an X-Force team, and then keep young Cable on Sword. But
I never thought of I just never, again, I don't know why I didn't, but I never thought of Old Man Cable going to X-Force. That would be dope if he went to X-Force.
I mean, he's the original founder of the team, right? So.
Right. I would like that a lot. But I hope young Cable lives. I really do. And I think he should. You would, like you said, it makes sense for him to stay on Sword. There's 2 fucking Sword bases. It's like, duh. You know, like he should stick around. Yeah. But the next issue, I think, is just going to be full on action and really trying to figure out that problem of like, is it Old Man Cable that's going to stick around, or is young Cable going to stick around? The other thing that I thought was really cool, and I'm sure that this was planned before everything dropped, but Cable giving that slight nod to the TVA.
I forgot about that.
Telling young Cable, like, hey, you need to watch your shit, because just because you're young doesn't mean they're not going to not persecute you for my crimes. I was like, holy shit. I was like, damn, son. Like, I mean, he didn't mince words, which I thought was kind of
right.
Cool. Right. But I mean, would you really mince words with your younger self that killed you? Like,
no.
And then the other thing that Comic Book Herald brought up, which I thought was really kick-ass, is when Old Man Cable is resurrected, he immediately looks at Professor X and is like, oh, Krakoa, so that's what we're doing right now? Like, so this is where we're at? Kind of like, this shit's gonna fail, this is where I'm at, kind of thing. Like, and that brings up another good point. Like, he's not technically a precog, but he knows the future.
But he's been to the future, so he at least, and we know that Krakoa manifests in multiple realities because of Moira, so it makes sense that Cable would know. He's like, oh, that's where we're at right now. We're finally up to this point.
So that was kind of neat. Like, you know, and what versions of Krakoa has he seen? Because like you said, there's been multiple versions. Like there might be one out there that actually works. Who knows? And we would assume that it's the one we're in, but you know, we're about to jump into Inferno. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. But you know, I digress. Either way, I'm sad it's going away. I was really enjoying this. You know, when this book was announced, I was like, hell yes, this looks so much fun. It was fun, and I'm looking forward to issue 12, but I'm also sad to see it go.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, I agree.
Tis what it is. Quickie, what's up? You say the TVA has Dugan's Deadpool run during a Strife arc, so it could be a reference to that. Oh,
that's cool.
I really need to read. If I'm not mistaken, Ron had that. Didn't he have Jerry's Deadpool omnibus?
Oh, I don't remember.
I feel like he did.
I'll have to check.
I'll have to check. If not, I need to. I enjoy what I've read out of Jerry's version of Deadpool. I enjoy, so I'm sure I would love that run. But anyway, either way, that is Cable number 11. Next up, we're going to jump into a pretty kick-ass book, and I'm surprised it's not either of our picks of the week, but it's definitely up there.
It's so close.
And that is Beta Ray Bill number 4. Holy shit. The only criticism I have in this entire book is it reads too damn fast. Other than that,
yeah.
I mean, that's really the only reason why it's not my pick of the week. This book is phenomenal. If you're not reading Beta Ray Bill right now from Johnson, go. Get it or wait for the trade and pick it up immediately, because this is a fantastic book.
Yeah, the art on this is probably some of my favorite art that's coming out right now. But I really like what he's doing with Beta Ray Bill, making him a sympathetic character and kind of building on his, building a little bit on his background. But maybe I'm just saying this because I really hope we're building up to something in the future, to whether he's going to get used or maybe Donny Cates is going to pick him up where this book leaves off or something.
I think this book reminds me so much of Donny Cates's Silver Surfer Black, and it's probably the artwork, It's probably the style of storytelling. But I feel like what Johnson has done with Scuttlebutt and Beta Ray, you can't ignore that. You know what I mean? Like someone's going to use it. And I just think Beta Ray Bill, much like some of these other characters that are making appearances in the MCU, whether it's a Disney Plus show or a movie, I think Beta Ray Bill is prime for an appearance in the next Thor movie. Like, no fucking doubt.
Really?
Taika wanted to use him in the previous in Ragnarok. Like, he was supposed to be in the movie, and they cut him at the last minute. And I just think Beta Ray, again, like you said, Johnson is pulling at the heartstrings for Beta Ray. I just feel like he's not trying. I think he's succeeding in getting more and more people to be more sympathetic towards a character that they don't know much about. And again, you want to talk about artwork that is just so grandiose. Like, look at this.
That's literally what I was just about to show.
This is insane. And then the other one that's really cool is, so in this book, they were crashing into, I forget the name of the dimension, but it's like hell, but not quite hell.
Niflheim or something like that.
Yeah, Niflheim. As they were crashing, they got sucked up by this monster, and this monster is slowly infecting the ship with it like infects the ship right where Scuttlebutt had all of her memories and just everything categorized from Beta's past, and so it was infecting those memories and projecting them into certain parts of the ship. And so the first memory I think we see, if I'm not mistaken, the first memory that they see is the first meeting of Thor and Beta Ray, and like, dude, just epic.
He suplexes the shit out of Thor.
So cool. And so Beta and Scuttlebutt are like, what the fuck are we looking at here? And it's like, oh, these are memories, but they're like corrupted versions of like what you experience. So like the next scene is him actually getting transformed into what he is now and being experimented on.
Brutal.
Yeah, like they're pulling his cheek out and like parts of his chest and like just brutal shit. And then we cut to Beta Ray's mother, who is, being sympathetic towards him and telling him like, look, I know you're hurting. I know that that there's pain behind your eyes, even though you can't express it. And before he can really like have a moment with his mother, his people are like, you're out, let's go, you're time to go. And so they both realize that they need to get to the source of where this monster is corrupting everything. They find the heart of it. They take it out. They crash land. And right before, as they land, Beta sees the sword. The sword that he needs to go steal. It's Surtur's sword. And he's going for it like immediately. And like, again, grandiose, very grandiose 2-page spread by Johnson. And before he can get to it, Scuttlebutt has like a very heartwarming moment with Beta, and basically is like, you don't need this, you don't have to do this, you're so much more. And she's more like saying like, you're my everything, don't do this, like don't subject yourself to this pain. And again, we see Johnson just making Beta doubt himself, and he's just like, I wish I could believe you, but I gotta do this. And so he goes for the sword, and our last page is Surtur showing up and being like, Beta, a worthy opponent.
Finally, we've been waiting.
Let's fucking fight. And it's just like, god damn, that's insane. So all in all, this is the penultimate issue. We got a lot of that this week. This book was amazing. Artwork on top, writing on top. It just was too fast of a read. That was the only thing that was holding me from picking this as my pick.
That was the only thing, because honestly, taking one of my favorite niche characters and expanding on him like this has just been so much fun. Also, Kwaku said, I think Duggan's Deadpool run is good, but the first arc is the weakest. but after that it improves a lot. Cates mentioned he talked with Johnson about Bill so that he could show up in Thor once this mini is done.
Ooh.
Oh my god!
You better be right. Don't be lying to us.
So, we're gonna get super excited for that.
Oh god, because he's shown up. He showed up in Cates's Thor, at the beginning during Black Winter. No, not Black Winter. Well, he showed up in Black Winter, but then he also showed up in the last arc with
yes,
Donald Blake.
Thank you. Yeah, Patrick, you're right too. Like, I think that Scuttlebutt. This is the first time that Bill has ever had anyone saying these types of things to him. Like, even Sif, who he has, such a long history with, of at least with the Asgardians, still was just like, nah, no dice. You're the horse. You're gonna be horseman. Nah, I'm good. And so it's when you're being told that you don't hold value if you are a certain way, it can be hard to change that internal monologue. I don't know. I think what's going on in this book is fantastic. So
it is, and I think once it ends again, we need to write to Marvel, whoever we got to, and say keep it going, get this guy, just keep it up. Patrick says Bill seems like he's actually depressed and not, and it's sad to read. No, there's a lot going on in his head right now, and he's putting all of his faith into this sword. Right? If you had taken it from the first issue, which was Thor has always been better than me, and I can't get booty because I look like a horse. That's really been the driving force, but it's gone deeper and deeper each issue, and it's been more. It's not just that,
it's way more than that.
Yeah, primal. That makes sense, man. Like, if you can't, that makes sense. But then you get into the history and the fact that the dude just can't be. His people have been wiped out; they're all dead, right? And he's the last of them, and he looks like that, and he's been looking like that in the mirror. There's another panel in the book where it shows him after the surgery, and he's just completely mortified at the fact of what he did to himself. And so, yeah, it's a deep ass book, and on top of that, I think the best word to describe this book is metal. It is just pure.
It's very metal.
It's you have references to like old school spaceship anime. You've got just heavy metal inspirations in the book. It's just fucking nuts. Like when in one of the issues when Scuttlebutt split herself in half to give him an axe, that was the most sci-fi metal shit I've ever seen in a comic book. And I think it's just going to continue, and I'm going to be really sad when it ends. So hopefully, Quiku, if you're right, I hope you're right that this goes on and that he ends up showing up in Donnie's Thor, because when Donnie writes Beta Ray, he's fucking awesome too. Like, he does a really good job of writing Beta Ray Bill.
Yep.
Again, super close to being our pick of the week, but just if you just slowed it down a little bit or had a couple extra pages, I feel like this would have been it for sure.
You know what other book was real close to being my pick of the week?
The next book we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
Before I say that, Patrick says you're right. This book is metal, and I love it. Love the old school wrestling moves. Wicked.
Yeah,
yes.
The suplex. It's just like, bam!
It's so good. It was just fun. Hulk Hogan vibes for sure. All right, next up, Daredevil 31. Again, I'm right there with you. This would have been my pick of the week if Chichetto had been on the artwork. It would have been my pick of the week.
Yeah, it's no knock to Mike Hawthorne.
No,
it's just that there's like a certain tone that's being set. It's almost like having a completely different cinematographer just for one episode or two episodes, of an entire season. It's like, well, this isn't bad. It's just jarringly different.
Yeah.
And so,
and there's not. I'll say this because we've run into that with some other books that we've read, like Department of Truth, but that was done to show a shift in time, right? Like when we finally figured it out, there was a shift in time in Department of Truth that they changed the artists, and it might have been, the main artist could have been on those books. We don't know if they needed a break or whatever, but that was a shift in time, so it made sense to like change the artist and be like, all right, we're telling these different stories, and in here it's just no, either Chichetto's taking a break or he's moving on. And yeah, it's very jarring. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So we're, the main part of the main meat of this book is still continuing. Actually, I forgot about the third storyline. So this book is kind of broken up into a lot of different things. The part that I enjoyed the most, of course, is the focus on the Matt Murdock stuff. So Matt Murdock is still in jail, and we're still doing a really, really great critical analysis on the prison system while telling a badass Daredevil story. Which I really, hey Jaden, I really like that. Chip Zdarsky's continued to be able to do this. I think that having a little bit of social commentary on an issue that I think's, it's got to be almost goddamn universal at this point, right? Like, American prison systems are just bad. Like, everybody knows it,
right?
And so, but I also I think this is a really good opportunity for positive growth for Matt Murdock. I can't remember the guy's name that he's been, basically friends with, that helped, that they've saved each other a couple of times now in various events.
Let's say Fred.
Sure. I can't even remember. I'm surely he has been named. I just can't remember.
I think he has, yeah.
But I mean, he calls him out. He calls him out on his savior complex, and is just like, yes, you are a superhero and you can save people, but like, you're not paying attention to yourself, and you're causing just as much issue as you are. You're causing problems and helping at the same time by this savior complex. And I think that is a point that Chip has really been driving home this entire, since issue 1. It's that Matt Murdock has a toxic savior complex that needs to, I think his frame of mind needs to change, and I think that's what the main plot of this arc is.
Yeah, and he kind of does it when he gets called into the warden's office. He's just like, all right, fuck it, no more white knight, higher than thou. Like, he's like, I'm gonna get dirty, and that's what he kind of does. And that was a fun, and like you said, there's 3 different story arcs in this book, and probably the one that I can't follow the most, and it's probably because it's been told prior to when I've caught up to reading, which is the Bullseye part of the book. I'm like, I don't know where that's coming from.
It's only a little bit. I mean, you're not missing too much. So basically, we'll wrap up with Matt Murdock, and then we'll go on to the other parts of the stories. But Matt essentially gets taken to the warden's office, and I mean, he straight up calls the warden out right away and was like, "You're trying to kill me," and he's like, "Oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about." Yeah. And Matt proceeds to knock out the 2 guards that are in there protecting the warden, and is like, I know what you're doing. I know you're running a corrupt prison system, and I'm going to take you down. Yeah. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more trying to skirt by you. I'm coming for you. And he has a pretty intense, poignant scene where he what is it? The warden tries to push the secret button for help, and he stops him, and he's like, he's like, "Oh yeah, I ruined your panic button, so you're not gonna be able to, you're not gonna be able to get any help." And he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna do anything if you scream for help." And he's like, "If you scream for help, I will let you get your help." And the warden's just like, "Oh,
do it." Yeah, he's like, "Do it."
It's super demeaning, super I don't know, almost like an unsettling scene. And then Matt,
I like that he's smiling too. He's like,
he literally went from I don't know. It was a big shift to me. It was a big shift.
I think his talk with Fred, really, as he was walking to the warden's office, he was like, "God damn, he's right. I need to just put up and shut up." Real quick, I want to get back to the chat really quick. How's it going, Ron? Also, we called it. Jaden. Jaden was blowing up shit.
Celebrating America.
Yeah, right. everybody in chat, if you see Ron is the owner of our comic book shop that we frequent and that is sponsoring the show, Collected Comics and Games. Check out his store or check out his website, staycollected.com or brainycomics.com if you're looking for any cool exclusives, which we will talk about later in the show when we get to our picks of the week. Anyways, sorry.
Yes. No, you're good. The other storyline that we kind of have going on is this newer relationship with our current Daredevil, Elektra, and the girl that she saved from the King in Black event, who is very traumatized by, what she did last issue. She killed a person. She shot the guy and totally thought, oh yeah, I just shot and killed this dude. But then he vaporized into sand and dust. And Elektra's like, don't worry, he was part of the hand. He's a weird zombie thing. It's fine. And but the girl cannot handle it. And so Elektra is like, yeah, I'm not in a good mood. I kind of need to beat the shit out of some people. And that's where we really get our actual action, our fighting for the issue. I can't exactly remember who it is that she. Is it inconsequential who she beats up? Yeah, she just goes and fights some random henchman trying to find what's her name, Izzy
it's the current kingpin of Hell's Kitchen or something.
Izzy Libris,
yeah,
trying to find her. And then the third story that we have going on is this weird Kingpin / Bullseye story going on. Bullseye is broken out. Kingpin was having him experimented on, and Kingpin is not very happy about that, and he's beating people up trying to find out where Bullseye is. And then we get a quick glimpse at Bullseye, who's seeing angels or
and mountains of bullets.
And mountains of bullets. That part was a little confusing, but at the same point, I think we're also seeing it through his crazy eyes. You know what I mean?
Right.
His twisted perception. But the issue literally ends with him armed and straight up opening fire on the city, on Manhattan, just shooting people.
That was my definite oh shit part of the book. When I saw him like people getting dingers in the head, I was like, oh shit, this is
it was intense.
This is about to go down. It's going down.
Yeah, so Zdarsky's juggling a lot of plot lines in this book. There's actually even 2 pages that are that still show his brother and the apparent son of Kingpin trying to do their weird infiltration thing.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of strings kind of moving around.
That's probably I wouldn't say my least favorite storyline going on in Daredevil, but it's just
no, I would say that it's
weakest.
I'm just not. I didn't read the Charles Soule run, which is where this sort of brother that didn't exist but is now real came from.
Okay.
Right before this one. I know that annual that came out was supposed to kind of help you understand, but it didn't at all. And so now it's okay, there's this guy, this brother that he didn't have that's not real but is real now, and he was bad and then he was good for a page or 2 and then now he's bad again. It's I'm sort of iffy on that one. I think we're going to need a lot more elaboration for me to be interested in that. But for 1 page out of the entire book, that was it. So I'm not that worried about it.
No, it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one, but I gotta get it Chichetto, please come back, please.
Yeah, quit doing badass Captain Marvel covers and come do your interiors.
For sure, dude. Come on now. Anyway, that is Daredevil 31. Next up, we have the United States of Captain America #1. I liked this book overall. Cap was a little distracting in this book. The way he was drawn, it was almost Rob Liefeld buff Captain America. He was
too big.
He was thick. like really thick. Like to the point where like I don't think he could lift his arm past here. Like he was a big boy. But then when he got a suit on, he kind of shrunk down a little bit. So I think
he did shrink down a little bit, which was weird. Like, yeah, get a suit on and then it like tightened him all up.
Yeah,
I will say that when I looked at the second page, and you just see him sitting there polishing the shield, I was like, "Whoa, no! What are we doing?" Yeah. And then it gets a little better from there.
Yeah, like he had like fucking Thanksgiving hams for arms. Like that's how big his biceps were. They were massive. This book's got a lot going on, right? So initially, I don't remember if I misread it or but for some reason I thought his shield was stolen and broken up into pieces, and that's what we were gonna get, like all these different Captain Americas. But that's not the case, obviously. But what happens is Cap is polishing his shield, having a good time, reflecting on the United States of America. And, for better or worse, and then someone shows up and steals his shield, the silhouette looks a lot like a classic Captain America. And so someone steals his shield. Falcon is there with him, trying to help him get it. And in the process of doing this, he runs into a lad who is dressed kind of like Captain America, who's got like a trash can shield. Who is, helping out his community and being the Captain America of his community. The people of the railroad and all the outcasts. And what Cap and Falcon find out is that there's like a network of people who take up the mantle of Captain America to protect their communities, because Cap can't be everywhere all the time, kind of like the Superman thing. Like he can't be everywhere all the time, and Superman can fly faster than a speeding bullet. So like, what's that say? And so that's what we learned in this book. We also learned that there's an assassin after them too, who we don't know who that is. That was a little confusing.
The assassin, I don't think was after them. The assassin was after the boy.
Yeah, he's the assassin is after the network of Captain Americas. Which is kind of odd.
Do we even know that at this point?
They kind of made it feel like that, though.
Oh, let's see. That just felt like it was like very much after him.
Oh, after that specific guy?
That specific boy, yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe, yeah, because he was going straight for his head.
Because even in his dossier, they were like, "We hope he looks out for this assassin."
Right.
Yeah. In his note, he said that he took his bullet like a champ. But just I hope he knows what's. Hope he doesn't get in over his head with this assassin.
Gotcha. Well, either way, that part of the book was fun, but also kind of confusing. Like I felt like there were slow parts of this book, but then there were really fast parts of this book, and it just kind of went. It was like someone was pushing the fast forward and play button a lot in this book. But the introduction of this new Cap, and I forget his name. He's in part of the main story, and then we get the second half of the book is a story more specifically about this new Captain America, who is an outcast. Aaron Fisher, and how he fought to be. He fought for his identity. He fought for his community. It's all kind of wrapped up in one nice big bow. So we get like an origin story of Fisher. So, and this, we made a video about this, about how everybody was in an uproar that, oh, Captain America's gay now. I'm like, sure.
Sure, but also not. Like, that's not.
Also, yeah, that's not it, but who cares? Like, why do you even give a shit? Like,
right.
It's different. We're going to get different people within the community, within this book, who are taking up the mantle of Captain America, and rightfully so. They want to protect their wherever they're at, and there's only one Cap, so you have to, people feel like they need to take up their own version of the shield to protect their community, and that's what we get in this book. So we get an origin story, we get this idea of a network of people kind of protecting their community and fighting in the name of Captain America. Rightfully so, the name of the book. Overall, I think Cantwell did a fantastic job. The writing was great. My only real critique is that the Cap is just this beefy boy, like, and then he shrinks down when he gets his movie costume. Like it's
Right.
a little weird.
I will say my personal favorite part of the book is the very beginning. The first like 2 or 3 pages, Cantwell uses it as like a setup, almost as for you to be like, hey, this, when I think of Christopher Cantwell, or when I think of Cap, this is the Cap that I'm thinking of.
Right.
Like there very much was like, he talks about the white picket fence fallacy and how like when you do that, when you say that's the American dream, you leave out a lot of people, and
right.
We're for all people. We're for all, people that are here. And I don't know. When I read that, I was like, okay, like I feel like we're on common ground here, and it's not like, so people have been going crazy lately. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter, but people have going crazy lately of this panel of Cap from, I think it's from Civil War, and it was like when people tell you to do something that you don't agree with, you look back at their face and you tell them no. And it's a bunch of like Trumpers like talking about how true Americans will not be told what to do, even by the government, and we will do whatever we want, even if it's illegal. And I don't know, like there's, I don't know Christopher Cantwell personally. I don't know anything about him, whatever. But for him to just outline, it's not even political, right? It's just saying like,
right.
Hey, this is the Captain America that we're going to be speaking about here is the people's hero. Right. And so I enjoyed that a lot. That little monologue at the beginning.
The melting pot that we're all so told about. Flores says he's supposed to shrink down. It's his stealth suit he's wearing.
Oh.
So.
Oh.
There we go. I think the next issue, I cannot remember the next issue. I just ordered it, but I can't remember who we see next. I want to say it's
the first female. I just can't remember who.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, here we go. It's in the very back. Nichelle Wright, the Captain America of Harrisburg.
Ah, cool. Well, that's where we're up next, and I know that Falcon will be sporting his Captain America Falcon suit, which I'm super stoked about. So, this is gonna be a fun run. Nice little miniseries.
Am I remembering it incorrectly, or I could have sworn that the solicitations for this mentioned John Walker as well?
I don't know. I know he's on this cover. If you flip it, he's in the back. But I don't know if he is or not. Maybe they run into him, unless it's John Walker stealing the shield.
Well, see, that's what I was saying. Is like I thought he was supposed to be in here as good, and then now maybe he's the bad guy. Yeah, who?
Flores. That was a joke, but it is his Stealth Commander Roger suit. No, I picked up on the.
Maybe they took it very literally.
Facetiousness. I could tell.
Dave Eaglesham was like, "Listen, he's going so incognito, he's losing half his body mass."
Nice. All right, next up, we're going to kick into the Infinite Destinies with Infinite Destinies Black Cat #1, including an Infinite Fury tie-in. Or not tie-in, story. Give me 2 seconds. My dog is up here because of the fireworks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little worried about it, so if you want to kick it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so this is like a little interlude story to the Black Cat ongoing, but I'm not quite sure how this is supposed to tie into Infinite Destinies. So basically, while Black Cat is traveling, she gets stopped while they're in Korea. Their plane gets stopped, and she basically gets hijacked or forced in, conscripted into helping this Korean super team. Literally, I think White Fox is the leader of that group, and she while they're riding in a car, she basically and puts she's like, oh, that's a translator. You understand Korean now. She's like, oh, okay, cool. And then later on in the issue, she's like, oh, it's actually a bomb. So if you don't help, it's gonna blow you up too.
Jesus.
But yeah, she's basically conscripted into helping them you save Korea from their main hero,
who is
because
their version of Hyperion.
Yes, that is exactly how they refer to him, as like the Korean Hyperion. And they're afraid that his mind has been taken over by a bad guy, and that they're going to use him to attack Seoul and take over the country and enforce a dictatorship. So that's the overall plot. I mean, that's what they do. They go, and then I guess there's this bad guy that can take over minds, but they can't just like kill the bad guy's body, because then his consciousness will be stuck in Korean Hyperion guy's body. And so they've got to find a way to get him out of there and not do that. Honestly, like to me, this issue was fun. I read it and I was like, I hear Jed McKay's voice in this book. Like, I see his style. I really enjoy it. What does this have to do with Infinite Destinies?
And that's what I was going to say before I kicked my dog out of my room is, yeah, like issue, or what was it? Captain America? Captain America's Infinite Destinies felt like what we were sold, which was we're trying to identify the other human beings that are merged with stones. And outside of maybe thinking that Korean Hyperion is the dude that has the stone, this feels like it has nothing to do with this Infinite Destinies annual storyline. Maybe later on when everything gets, put down in Black Cat, this is where it'll be. Like, oh yeah, I remember that fight. Oh, you had the stone. Oh, that's probably where it's going to hit. I think the saving grace for this book, again, it's a fun book, but it doesn't feel like it has any kind of connectivity to this Infinite Destinies storyline, is the Infinite Fury story, where I was intrigued, but then I saw the silhouette of the person that's after him, and I'm kind of like, we just got done dealing with the Squadron Supreme, like, now here's where we're going to get into it. So Fury, at the end of this book, Fury's got his story. He's trying to track down, obviously, more people with stones, and then he goes to like his hideout and it gets blown up. And when it gets blown up, the person that blew it up is Nighthawk, right? From Squadron Supreme?
Yeah.
Or at least it's his silhouette. Now, here's my theory, and I don't think you're going to like it. But I think that Nighthawk who blows up his base is the Nighthawk who just experienced Heroes Reborn.
Oh. So you think that is actually going to be relevant, like that plot point from Avengers?
I do, because when Heroes Reborn ended, and again, we were not very hot on it, he was, him and who else got away? Hyperion? They were the only two that didn't get jailed. Nighthawk is like, I gotta do it on my own. I'm gonna figure out what happened. This is it. I think this is it. I could be wrong, but I think this is where we're going. I think we're trying to have some form of continuity of what we just dealt with, because our main complaint was like, what the fuck did that matter? What was that? Like where is that going to go? Like, clearly Mephisto's going to do something that's going to have huge consequences within the actual Marvel comic universe. Duh. Right?
Yeah.
But then at the end of that book, it's like Nightwing's like super emo and going like, I'm going to do it myself. And so here it is, I think.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I really could. Don't you feel like we were supposed to get a reveal of another stone in this book?
Yes, and we didn't. Okay. And it was like, because we got the chart, we get the chart at the end where it's like, here are the stones, and here's who we know who has the stones, and it wasn't revealed, and I'm like,
it's so bizarre to me, because
what are we doing?
But here's the thing. If I took this book and I took off the Infinite Destinies headline, and I removed the backup story, this would have been a great addition to Jed McKay's ongoing Black Cat series.
100%.
We're right in the middle, like he just ended an arc and we're about to start another one.
Yep.
This is a perfect segue point. This book is like, hey, Black Cat's trying to get from point A to point B. She gets stopped in the middle. She goes on this adventure. It wraps up. It's done. It was a fun story. The art was good. It all made perfect sense. But what didn't make sense is that this is supposed to be an Infinite Destinies tie-in, which Jed McKay is in charge of, and it didn't have anything to do with that.
No,
outside. It was so weird to me.
Outside of the Infinite Fury side story, backup story. Yeah, we're on the same backup story. Yeah, like it just didn't. This issue felt like the first one, except we knew that guy had a stone in him, right? But that was it. Like Iron Man was like, I should probably go talk to Fury about this. He didn't say that. That was like, that would have been a perfect connecting. Like, I should go tell somebody about this. Like, that guy clearly has a stone, which that didn't happen. And in this book, we don't even get that. Like, there's no mention of the stones in Black Cat, who Black Cat's, you know, when we get to this part of the book in the actual McKay book where they're dealing with the Infinity Gauntlet, like, obviously there's going to be, I would assume they're going to call back to this event and then be like, there's the stone, you know, and it's going to be in that guy, clearly, I think. But yeah, it just was kind of weird. Like, again, fun story, but it just didn't feel like it had anything to do with this Infinite Destinies story.
Yeah. We'll see.
That has me a little worried about the other ones that we're picking up. Like, the Thor one looks cool, and if it does the same thing, I don't think I'll be upset about it, but I'll be like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So,
I'll be all right.
Anyway, yeah, I'll be fine. We're just
and Calvin Nighthawk. If it was Nightwing, I'd be much happier.
Yes.
Nighthawk from the Supreme Squadron.
Yep. And then he says, I hate tie-ins. They hate tie-ins that don't tie in. Thank you. Yes. And then Patrick, Buddy broke his foot. I'm going to have to rewatch when oh no. I'm able to fully listen, but don't want to miss the show. I am sorry, Patrick. Take care. Yeah, that is not good. Do not listen to two fat guys talk about comics. Go take care of your friend. All right. Next up, we have Eternals number 5 with a Gilgamesh appearance, a Thanos appearance. I liked this book, but I still have no fucking clue what's going on.
After all this time, and I'm still so confused. Like, yeah. So I don't like. I have no idea where we're going. What are we What are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to do? Like, it feels like we're 5 issues now, and we're literally not any closer to solving our initial problem.
No, I think we hit the nail on the head, though. I think the idea is coming around that Thanos is an Eternal. He will always be resurrected. He'll never die, just like the Eternals. But we just don't know if it was I mean, it's not 100% confirmed that Thanos is the one that killed the King of the Eternals. It's like everything but. Like, we just need the video evidence, right? But he's doing something too. Like, it's like he's almost in this kind of limbo of like, am I an Eternal? Like, that's what in this book we kind of get, is like he talks to one of the other Eternals about his being, and like he actually shows his actual heart in this book. So yeah, a lot's going on. I will say I don't know much. Obviously, I have no idea about Gilgamesh or the unnamed warrior, but he looks like a badass. I'll say that. Like, I kind of like the premise of that character. Yeah.
Jaden says, I hope the movie isn't as confusing because I'm already not totally invested in it. Yeah, I mean, I hope so too. I have no idea where they're going with it. And I honestly feel like at first, when this book was first announced and came out, and obviously the movie got so jumbled around with its release because of COVID, but like, it seemed very much like that these releases were supposed to be coinciding. And I thought, well, this is for sure going to be tying into the movie. Maybe not directly, but at least like somewhat. And right now, it seems like they're just not going to have anything to do with each other whatsoever.
I mean, the subtleties of like explaining what characters what and what they do is very like monotone. Like, I don't know, it doesn't take the forefront of the issue, right? Like when we learned about Cersei, you know, it was kind of like, here's a couple pages, let's keep going. Ron says, but it's pretty to look at. Agreed.
Okay. So we literally talked about this earlier in the week, but this book could continue to get more confusing or even worse.
Right.
And as long as Assad Ribic is doing the interiors, I will be picking up every single issue.
Yeah,
So
I would agree with that.
When Ribic's on the book, I buy it.
Yeah.
If I can afford it.
For sure. And like, you know, I know I can't even give a review for this justice because, again, I don't know half the characters. I don't know what's going on. The one where it got me confused is like, so you've got one of the Eternals who is like in charge of like the core of the Earth or the machine, and he's basically like, it says in the book, like he's actually working with Thanos and trying to destroy the Eternals, but he is an Eternal. I don't know. It is confusing as fuck.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm wondering, Ron, maybe you can tell us. Maybe we need to read something else to help it connect, but it just outside of... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it feels like maybe there's like obvious motivations behind these characters or assumed motivations that Kieran Gillen is assuming we know that we don't. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no, and Ron says at least it gives us a reason why the Eternals were not there during the Infinity War. Yeah, and they're also not there because of... was it... When did they kill themselves? Was it before? It was right during the Avengers, right?
That was in the Avengers run, right after the first arc when the Celestials came.
Like they found out that they didn't have purpose or something like that, or like they didn't really have any meaning. Yeah, I mean that's been the only connecting thing for us in what we're currently reading, right? That's the only time that we've ever had any kind of connectivity in Eternals, and that's why I want to know, like, am I missing? Like, should I have been read? And maybe I think Gillen said something before this came out, like you need to read this to really understand this run. I think he said something like that. It was one of the...
Look at that. Just
yeah,
look it up then.
It's one of those. It's one of the previous Eternal runs, so maybe we need to do that. But yeah, the artwork in here is fantastic. I am intrigued, and I do like they do call out when Thanos dies in Donny Cates's Guardian run or Infinities, and then his resurrection is dealt with in the Guardians run, and they reference that, which I thought that was really cool because I really enjoyed that run. So there is some connectivity, but I think it's all boiling down to the fact that Thanos is not a deviant or, you know, and in between, he is a legit. It's looking more and more like he is a legit Eternal, and that no matter how many times you kill him, he coming back. So unless he doesn't want to, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he murdered and broke the machine because he doesn't think anybody, including the Eternals, should have immortality. Maybe that's what it is. We'll see.
Well, I mean, it seems like that's what the other guy's main motivation was. The book ends with him saying, "I'm not killing the Earth. I'm killing the Eternals. or destroying." I think is what he says.
And then, but he's like, and he's wrong. And I think the machine's like, but he's wrong. Like he's fucking up. Also, Ron says, I'm thinking it will be more in the line with the movie than any past Eternal story. Okay. Well, we'll have to wait and see. All right, next up, we're jumping into our Star Wars High Republic book with the Rancor on the front of the cover. You know, I told you when we did our pull list, I'm like, I'm kind of done with this dark side vegetation. And it kind of feels like they're kind of moving in that direction of getting rid of it. I don't know. What do you think?
I think 100% the opposite. I think this is literally the new arc setting up like them for an entire run.
You sure? Because I mean, it basically they figure out like the Death Star's weakness point in this book, essentially. Like, oh, we found the primordial dark side vegetation. Let's just go kill that and we'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's going to take an entire arc just for them to do that.
Okay. I mean, but it's not the entire book.
I didn't say the entire book. I specifically said the entire arc. Starting a new arc.
How many books in this arc?
5.
Okay. I'm just ready for the freaking.
They're not going anywhere. Whenever the initial group talked about, like, the actual creators talked about when they did the big huge, like, High Republic, here's things to look forward to, and they were highlighting bad guys. Dringear was one of them. So, like, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be around.
I want the Nile.
I agree. I feel like, if anything, the Dringear should be taking up the
High Republic
Adventures book, and we should be having the Nile here in this book. They seem like the more adult bad guy, right? Like, you want that to be in the more adult book.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that's not what we're getting. I personally am not upset about it.
I'm not upset about it. I just don't feel what they do, right? And like what their consequence is, I get, and I think that's awesome. They look goofy as fuck. They look like Muppets.
I agree.
Right?
Their design is not great.
So that's for me, and again, I know that's very like petty and juvenile, but they just don't, like, they're like, oh my god, this is huge, and I'm like, that looks like Kermit on steroids, and he's got some kind of virus. Like, that's what it looks like to me. So
the one thing that I do enjoy is in this era, you obviously are taking on a more unified and a stronger Jedi core, right? These Jedi are just naturally stronger, faster, smarter, better than Jedi that we're used to. I mean, this is their golden age. And so in order to give them that status and still have bad guys that seem like they can actually hurt them or be of consequence, I really like what the Dringear have done with this whole, like, mind control sort of like infestation of the mind, making you doubt yourself, because that's kind of the only weakness of the Jedi. And so
no, and the skier the skier Drengar thing is really cool. I will say that, like, him openly, like, opening himself up to it to, like, figure out the source. I think that's fucking cool. Don't get me wrong there. That is awesome.
But yeah, so I mean, I would give this issue a B+. Like, it was not, like, it didn't blow me away, but, like, I'm still interested in where we're going. Yeah. I'm still interested in how things are going to turn out. But I do wish we had some Nile as well.
Yeah, I'm just like, I didn't buy the 1 in 10 incentive and get it slabbed for a 9.8 at CBCS for it to just sit there and them not show up. Like, I'm ready, bro.
They're going to show up.
I will say, probably with the plants, or however you say it, the Drengar, them being kind of, I think, the first arc, second arc baddie, when the Nile do show up, and when, if we do get some Sith, I think those will hit harder because we've been waiting so long for them to show up. I think when that does happen, that'll be the oh shit moment and be like, holy fuck, the third arc of High Republic, get ready, or the fourth arc, like, it's going down, because no more Muppet Baby vegetation dark side, like, we're going right into it. So yeah, I mean, I will say, a Jedi riding a Rancor into battle, that was really cool. Like, that was really, really fun.
It was interesting for sure. Also, I feel like I have seen more Hutts in comics than I've seen in my entire life these past 2 weeks. With, like, we've got this one that's, like, all decked out and fighting. We had the guy last week that had, like, a 15-pack. Like, it was crazy. So many Hutts.
Aaron says, have to cuddle the dog, scared of fireworks. Yeah, I'm currently, our dogs are, like, in our bedroom right now. Lucy was up here just a minute ago, and I was like, yeah, get out of here. But anyway, yeah, I'm still enjoying it. It's still gonna stay on the pool. Really taking, again, Noto covers. Gimme.
Yes.
Anyway, so that is our Star Wars High Republic. We didn't really go deep dive into it. If you're currently enjoying the Spider-Man, the Star Wars High Republic book, I'm sure you're enjoying this, but I am ready for some Nile. I am ready for some other colored lightsabers. All right. We're done with our Marvel here. We're going to jump into our 1D DC book that made the actual show, and that is Infinite Frontiers Secret Files. And the minute Ron leaves, we get into a book that I'm going to need all of his help for, so hopefully he comes back. I liked this. I thought it was really fun. But, again, we're dealing with characters I have no idea about. I don't know if this is a new character or if this character has been around forever, like Bones, Detective Bones.
So I think every character here has been around, especially like the middle story, Midnighter and whatever.
Midnighter and Fire. I forget. Yeah, you're right.
They've been around for a long time. I think President Superman is fairly new, but I still think he's been around for a while.
Yeah. I liked. What were your favorite stories in this?
Well, my favorite story, like absolutely 100%, was the last story. I can't remember his name. Psycho Pirate story.
Yes.
Like the amount of like mindfuck that happened in that issue was amazing.
Well, and so essentially what we get in this book is the origins for all these people and how they're going to, like, how they got to where they were at into the Infinite Frontier movie book. So, you know, these are our key players, it looks like. Bones, I really like Detective Bones, like how he was, you know, going through all the case files. We get Speedy, and, you know, we don't know if he's going to be a good guy. We don't know if he's going to be a bad guy, or is he going to be in the middle? Well, we know that he's looking like the new Black Lantern, which is kind of cool, but we get a little bit of that. I did like the President Superman story, just kind of understanding that more, and just getting a better idea of who that character is and what he's about. I think the weakest story for me was definitely the two siblings. I just, okay, cool. You know, I just don't have any connection to them, so I can't really hook on to that concept.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their significance is going to be in the story. I also really enjoyed the I can't remember the team, but the Martian Manhunter team.
Oh
like,
yeah,
they were both in different realities, and they showed up at the same time, and like, I thought that was really funny. Just like having them kind of like going back and forth. I liked the humor there.
But the best part out of the Psycho Pirate story was when he gets asked the question himself. I don't remember what the question is, but he's sitting on the period of the sentence that says it all ends with Darkseid, or it is Darkseid, whatever that was. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was so meta, so cool. I thought that to me was the best part of this book. Like seeing that and going like, what, you know, it ends with Darkseid, right? What's the sentence?
It just says Darkseid is.
Darkseid is. Yeah. And he's sitting on his reality is sitting on the period of that sentence. So we got super meta. And then Darkseid embodies him with more powers because he doesn't want to have this curse anymore. And so that, you know, we get an idea of why he's potentially helping Darkseid, which I thought was really cool. Overall, I'm really glad I picked it up. And again, we mentioned this in Hall, but Marvel, this is how you make a $9.99 issue premium. This book feels so good. It was so fun to read. It felt great in my hands. It's glossy. Come on.
Square bound. Actually got the glue in there properly.
Yeah, it felt good. I
will. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that my only critique of this book, and it's not even really a critique because I could be wrong about this, but it feels like this, like the Secret Files are like a mixture of like a catch 'em up, and for people that are not, you know, quite up to date like us, but also like maybe just gives you kind of like a cool story, like if you do know who these characters are, because like you don't want to write a book that has no value for readers that know everything, right?
Yeah.
And so unfortunately in this issue I think that they went too far to the like, hey, we're just trying to get new stories out, because it didn't really help me understand the context of like anyone really. Yeah, or at least yet. Maybe it will once we get further on into this event. But I will say that it does make me even more excited for the event because I enjoyed all the stories that were in it, and so I'm going to be looking forward to seeing these characters more.
Oh, no doubt. No, it was fun, and I don't know if it's next week or the week after, but that's when we get Infinite Frontier
number 2.
So looking forward to that. So that is our one DC book that made the main show. We do have another one that is in our honorable mentions, but we'll get to that soon. On to what we've been all waiting for, and that is one of our picks of the week. And that is Barbaric #1 from Vault Comics. This is my pick of the week.
Oh, wow.
Yep, that's my pick of the week. I'm gonna do it again.
Oh, wow. Back to back, huh?
Just to make sure everybody knows that this is my pick of the week.
I can't hear it, so I'm just going to assume.
Yep, no, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, this was a great book.
Ron, I don't remember how long ago it was, but Ron was
forever.
like, hey, do you want to hear about a really weird but kick-ass story about a barbarian that has an axe that talks to him? And I was like, yes, give me more.
Yes, I do want to hear about that.
This book has very like God of War vibes. Not so much a character that has lost everything, but he has, in God of War, he ends up killing his own family. We're not realizing it until the very last second that is cursed. And this one, he's just kind of doing his own damn thing. Like, man, he's a barbarian. He's fighting, he's drinking, he's fucking, he's doing all the things, right? And then these 3 witches are like, yo, we're gonna curse you. we're either gonna throw you in hell or we're gonna give you a curse. Which one do you want? And he's like, what's hell look like again? Because I really don't want to deal with your shit.
Yeah.
So our barbarian Owen is cursed by these 3 witches, and it's part of this big elaborate plan that they have. And the curse is that his weapon, his axe, is his conscience. He can be anywhere at any time, and if someone is in need of help, the axe is going to be like, Owen, it's time to go help some people. And Owen is a piece of shit. He's a barbarian. He doesn't want to do that, but because of this curse, he's kind of obligated to do it. Let's kind of Tarantino it. Let's go back. So the beginning of this book starts off with Owen being enslaved by this rich slave owner who's in like this stadium, like a Roman Colosseum, if you will. Yeah. And he's like, my barbarian will kill all these men. He's gonna do it great. And the barbarian is like, I really don't feel like doing it. Owen's like, I don't feel like doing it. But then the axe is like, well, yeah, but that guy's like, he's a thief. I can't remember what it was, but they're all pieces of shit, except for one. The thief, I think, is a kid that was like just stealing food to like eat.
Right.
And so the axe is like, you can kill those 2 guys, but you can't kill the thief because he really didn't do anything wrong technically. And so he proceeds to kill these guys, and as the axe is being swung and collecting blood, the axe gets power hungry and gets drunk off of people's blood. So the comedic relief is really in the axe. The axe is pretty fucking funny throughout this entire book. The voice of the axe is hilarious. Every time it kills somebody, it's like, more blood, more, gotta go. Like, he's gotta keep killing. And so he kills the 2 thugs, and then the slave owner is like, no, go kill that other kid. And he goes, no, I can't. Like, the axe won't let me. And he goes, you will do what I tell you to do. And then the axe is like, you can go ahead and kill him because he's been exploiting poor people and stealing, And the guy's like, with pleasure. And the guy's kind of pointing like, no, wait. And we see one panel where he's like this, like he's kind of like, don't you fucking dare. And then the next panel, he's literally cut in half diagonally, where it's just like, zink, without missing of an expression. So that's the first half of the book. The second half of the book, bless you. The second half of the book is him in a tavern, and there's some commotion, and our townsfolk have found a woman who is a witch. She's a witch, and so they want to burn her. And, Owen immediately is like, So I'm guessing I need to help this lady. And the axe is like, yeah, you got it. And so they go, he goes to try to save her. And before he can save her, zombies start popping out of the ground. And the lady who they were going to burn, the so-called witch, is actually a witch. And she was trying to save everybody before this plague of zombies was going to come destroy the town. So they kind of team up. And, the whole point in order to stop this zombie invasion, they have to go to this castle, which is now being surrounded by this giant world serpent. And that's how the book ends. And I'm not doing much justice in the sense that the dialogue between the axe and Owen is phenomenal. It's really funny. The visuals, the artwork in this book is fantastic. I think the only other Vault book I read was Engine Ward, I think. Okay. Which I thought was good, but the artwork was nothing like this. I think there's a lot of potential for this book. There's a lot of mystery and intrigue with the witches and saying you're part of our plan. We're not going to divulge everything to you. Yeah. It's a really fun book, and I'm really glad I picked it up. I'm glad Ron suggested it because I had a great time reading this book. It was super fun.
Yeah, I would say that if the plot sounds a little not your alley, I would still suggest reading it just because the dialogue and the humor is really good.
It's got a good mix of humor, action, bloodthirst, great artwork. And I think Ron had mentioned this on his live sale, but I think this book has a very good potential. Again, this is me speculating. There's actually no, you were not going to find any article out there, anybody writing that Barbaric #1 might get picked up for a series. I'm just saying personally, I agree with Ron when he said this would do really well in Adult Swim, or or HBO Max as an Adult Swim show where it's bloodthirsty, it's funny, it's visually pleasing. I just think it's got a good chance of doing that. I really do believe that. So you heard it here first. Two Fat Guys Pull Lists are speculating that Barbaric #1, it's going to be your key. It's going to be worth $1 million in about a week or here. So just go pick it up.
All that.
But that's our review of it. Now, that being said, I'm going to go into a little bit of a pitch here, but Ron over at Collected he commissioned a exclusive cover with Tone Rodriguez, which he does have right now for sale on brainycomics.com. It's a sick ass cover. Me and Nate both picked one up last week. He's got raw copies like this one that you can pick up at brainycomics.com. I'm actually going to put the link in the chat right now so that if anybody is interested in buying it, there it is right there. I think he has it up for about $20 right now on brainycomics.com. He also has 9.8 CBCS graded copies currently that you can pick up on brainycomics.com. So if you want to go ahead and get it slabbed, you can. And then Ron had asked us if we could make a collectible box that will be available for sale that will have this exclusive in it, and the box art, the front of the box will have this cover on it. So that's pretty cool. And I don't know how many he has of those. I know there are only 500 copies of this cover, so it's a very rare cover. And then I also saw on Brainews.com that he's going to have a couple copies signed by Tone that will be graded. So, you have some opportunities. If you really dig this cover, go to brainycomics.com, check it out, and pick yourself up this kick-ass cover. I actually have it. It's sitting right behind me. I'm going like this. It's sitting right there.
Oh.
Yeah. In a Mylar.
Nice.
So. But anyway, that is our Barbaric review. And again, this is my pick of the week.
That's Jim's pick of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic book. Anyway.
Also, just for transparency, I went up there and checked. I think the signature series are already sold out.
Oh, no. Well, then, sorry.
I don't see them on the site anywhere.
Oh,
but
okay.
the 9.8s, the regular CBCS ones are up there, and that price, I will probably be buying one. It's a very competitive price there.
And again, it's a fantastic cover. The other thing I'll say is, it feels like that cover specifically feels very premium format. The cover A feels great too. It's not a flimsy book. It's nice, glossy cover. So definitely check that out if you're interested. And if you haven't read Barbaric #1 and you just want to get cover A, do it. It is so good.
Yes. My God. You hear it all through my microphone?
The popping?
Fireworks, yeah.
I haven't heard it on your end, and I don't know if you've heard it on mine, but there's a bunch going on out here too.
I can't hear it from you, but my God.
America, bro.
Insane.
Let's go blow up some shit. Anyway.
We both live on like just enough into the suburbs that people are like, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, next up, we have another independent from Image Comics, and that is Crossover #7 by Chip Zdarsky.
Right, Chip Zdarsky.
And this is...
Do the thing.
That's Nate's Pick of the Week.
Yeah.
So if you were into meta,
well,
you're in for a treat.
If there's a description of meta, like the actual definition of meta in the dictionary, it's Crossover #7 written by Chip Zdarsky.
Like it's very intense. So I'm actually not going to go super in depth into this book because I think that everyone should read this. You don't have to have been reading Crossover at all up to this point. So that's not relevant to understanding what's going on here. The only thing you need to know is that in this Crossover universe, comic book characters are in the world. So we learned in this issue that some comic book characters are coming after their creators. And so Chip Zdarsky has gone into hiding and basically gone into like witness protection program. He's got a new name. He's like what was he, like a busboy or something? He worked at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was a fry cook.
Sure. He was something like that. I'll go look. Yeah, he was a line cook because he made a burger incorrectly. And he slips up one day and talks to a dude at a comic shop who is also talking very meta about current, like, people trying to sell all their 90s comics. And anyway, they get to talking. He gets a little too drunk, and he's supposed to be on guard for watching out for this comic book character that he doesn't know who it is, but is going to come kill him. And he basically gets blindsided by Chip Zdarsky. So the actual writer, the actual character, the main character of this book is whatever Chip's real name is. Steve Murray.
Steve Murray, yeah, I was gonna say.
Steve Murray is him. And so, like, Steve Murray, he's going by Steve Murray because no one knows who Steve Murray is, and he's right. And he ends up getting not captured, but he ends up running into Chip Zdarsky, like the persona,
the comic book version of Chip Zdarsky, because Steve Murray wrote himself into a comic book, an actual comic that you can read, apparently.
Well, he did write himself. Him and Matt Rosenberg wrote themselves into sex criminals for like a couple panels.
I got you.
But basically, the majority of this issue is a meta commentary of how Steve Murray, the man, like in real life, I'm not talking about in this book, it's very much like a commentary by Steve Murray about how Chip Zdarsky is his persona, and how it's honestly a really vulnerable book of Murray talking about how creating this persona. Everyone, if you know who Chip Zdarsky is, he can be really crass, he can be really vulgar, he can be, it seems like he's always joking, never serious, like he's always screwing around. He has a lot of confidence, and we find out that that's very much a persona from Steve Murray. And so, of course, it feels weird just talking about that because you're talking about two different versions of one person, but I'm also talking about two different versions of one person because it's the two versions in the book and then the two versions that are writing the book.
You know that meme, that GIF of Galifianakis doing. He's counting cards, and there's like equations and shit. That's what that like.
That's exactly that's exactly what it is. So basically, they end up hanging out for a while, and Chip Zdarsky ends up sacrificing himself to save Steve Murray. We're not sure who it is that is after Steve Murray, but the book ends with a couple of detectives from a Brian Michael Bendis book. I'm not going to remember what it is, but we're just getting even more introduction into actual comic book characters from other independent books being infused into this book as well.
I have a theory of who it is that's trying to kill Chip, or trying to kill
curious.
Murray. I think it's Donny Cates.
Do you?
I think it's the actual writer Donny Cates trying to kill Chip Zdarsky because he's.
Don't try to kill Steve Murray.
Steve Murray, I'm sorry. Trying to kill him because he's so jealous of how good he writes. I think it's Donny Cates. I think Donny Cates is literally trying to kill. And we're going to get so meta that Donnie's actually trying to kill Chip.
I think that would be really funny. So Chip's going to be on the book for the next 2 issues after this as well. So it seems likely that we're going to see where this is going.
Like, I think it's going to be like a fourth wall breaking. Like, when he finally gets him, he's going to be like, this is my book, motherfucker. Yeah! And just like, he's going to slash him with the fucking axe. And that's how Chip's book is going to end in this book.
Also, so that's all I want to tell you. Read the book. It's very good. If you're a fan of Chip Zdarsky, I would be picking up these 3 issues. I'm telling you, even if you're just not interested in crossover at all, like, this is what you want to.
But you should read crossover. It's really fun.
It's good. Yeah, it's a fun book.
It's a commentary on, and I think Ron would probably agree. It's a commentary on comic books and comic book stores and fans and non-fans and Comic-Gate and all that shit. And but it makes you want to read, and it's by design, other stories of characters that are in these books. I mean, we read God Country. You read
Paybacks.
The Paybacks. Like, there have been multiple times where like, oh, fuck, I just got to go buy that book. Like, we've bought multiple Donny Cates books, and I'm sure Chip will throw some stuff in here where we're going to go out and pick up more, because like, that's the whole idea, is read more comics.
Right.
That's what it's all about. That's what our show's about, and that's what this comic's about. So that is crossover number 7, and again, this is Nate's.
That's Nate's Pick of the Week.
All right. Next up in our Image books, we have Department of Truth number 10. You did a little bit of Twitter research on this book.
A little bit of sleuthing.
Got a little bit of engagement.
Yeah, so in this book, we get like actual handwriting dialogue. Like, it looks like it's from a journal. I was super fascinated by it. When I first opened the book, I was really worried that it was going to be difficult to read. It was not. And so I thought it just added a really cool extra element, extra little personal touch to this book. Just made it feel more, real.
Jaden, outside of issue 1, every Department of Truth cover is creepy as fuck. Like, it's...
Yeah.
You don't want to leave it on your nightstand when you go to bed, because you'll freak yourself out.
So I was actually curious if Adita Bidikar, the letterer of the book, had the actual opportunity to be like hand doing letters. Like, like not only did it look good, but it was legible and readable. And I was like, man, I hope that wasn't just like some random person, that did that. Hopefully that was somebody on the book. And so, yeah, I'd literally just tweeted at Tinian and Martin Simmons and Adita Bidikar, and Simmons responded and said that it was all Bidikar's work. He did all the handwriting for that, so that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Get a little engagement online.
So basically, what we get in this book, we were preluded to it, and we deal with Sasquatch, but not inadvertently. But essentially, what we do is Hawk and our main character go hunting. And originally, we thought we were going hunting for actual Sasquatch, but what we get is the department pruning.
I see what you did there.
Individuals who are continuing the myth of the Sasquatch or the Chupacabra or the Jackalope. You know, like these animal creatures that people swear to God they saw in the forest. And what's perpetuating and keeping these beings that aren't really real alive are these hunters and, you know, Bigfoot hunters and people with cameras trying to find the beast. And so with their engagement in doing that, they perpetuate the idea of these beings. And I think we get another character in this book that it's like a lady that does the hunting. And she says one thing that I thought was hilarious, which was whenever someone puts up a jackalope on the wall, I got to kill 40 or 50 of those fuckers around here because they just pop up like nothing, which I thought was kind of funny. But, you know, the artwork in this book, again, man, like I know when we first started reading this book, we were like, I don't know. And like every issue just gets better and better. And there's like always these like grandiose one-pagers.
But yes. And so it's that. I mean, it's almost getting to the point where if you go 3 or 4 pages with a traditional comic layout, you're almost like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And in this issue, we literally didn't get that at all because half of the book is handwriting, like we've already shown you. And then, you know, other parts of the book, we're getting layouts like this that are just psychedelic and trippy and weird. So Martin Simmons' art on this book is really foundational to the like creepy, strange, just slightly off-putting. Not like really, it's not disturbing. It's just slightly weird, slightly off-putting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, so, you know, we were led to believe that we were going to hunt Sasquatch in this book. And what we get is they're hunting the people again. Like we've dealt with this issue in the book before, but it was almost kind of not a surprise. I think it was a surprise for the reader because it was just like, oh, we're going after Sasquatch. And it really is. The department is continuously hunting and killing people that are trying to go find Bigfoot. In a nutshell, like that's what they're doing. And so we were behind this one guy who was like, I'm going out there, man. I'm going out there. I'm going to find him. I got my shotgun and I've got my camera. I'm ready to go. And he's like talking to his son, and his son's like, just drop it. Just come back home. And he's like, no, I'm onto it. I swear I can feel it in my bones. And that, you know, he's the guy that they're going after. Like they're going to go kill some dude's dad who's just has a really bad pastime in looking for Sasquatch. You know, I thought it was written really well. Tiny Onion is still killing it. I'm really looking forward to the next issue. I know I'm ready. You know, there's little seeds being planted in this book about like there being some internal conflict within the department with his current partner. Like I want to get back to that. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for our main character's field trip to be over and to get back to the department and see it on fire. Like I think that's what's coming.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's Department of Truth number 10. Fun issue. Again, go pick up the trade if you're not reading it. It's really good. It's been picked up. I'm sure we'll see this on the TVs very soon. So next up, we have our one bad idea book of the month, of the week, and that is the final issue of Matt Kind's ENIAC number 4.
Yes.
How did you feel about this book? Were you underwhelmed?
I was a little underwhelmed.
Okay.
I was a little underwhelmed. Yeah, so we get, at first we get this, interesting revelation that ENIAC has been in our main character's life far more than she understood. Like she had toys when she was a kid that she was interacting with. Turns out her mom was like indoctrinated without knowing it. But, we get so they go, the last place that we left off is the crazy guy has given them the code that's on the string. They go there and it turns out ENIAC's been waiting for him the whole time. He's like, insert string here. He's got their names on it, like totally mocking them. Yeah. And they can't agree on what they're supposed to do. But eventually she ends up getting the string in there and they bust through the door. And it's just, what would you even call that?
It's like a key. It's a typewriter or like a kid's type thing that like talks out what you type, right? Like
yeah. Talk and type, yeah, something like that. And he basically is just like it. That's all. It's just that thing sitting on a little pedestal. It's like, oh, goodbye, Fletcher, and thank you. And then, as you can tell by the cover here, we get the entire world's nuclear arsenal launched all
into space.
Yep. It does end up going into space, but it does cause massive havoc on Earth as well. Mm-hmm. Massive aircraft carriers get run aground. People all over the world are just watching nuclear bombs get shot into the air. They're just like freaking the fuck out. It's like, oh my god, what's happening? And
it's getting loud.
He sends them all to space, and they don't detonate. They just go away, and so now they're not there.
And he launches himself.
So yeah, he launched himself into space. One of the bombs lands on Mars, and then he's able to use these weird like nanobots he's created to create another rocket to launch himself deeper into space. And they were all like, well, so is he gone? And like, yeah, he probably just thinks we're too dumb to hang out with, and he's going to look for even more intelligent life.
Become even more all-knowing.
Right. And so they're like, okay. And then the Secretary of State's like, want to go shoot more guns? And they're like, yeah. And
America.
Then that's it.
So whatever. That was cool. What I don't understand is, so like he's like, yeah, the Secretary of State's like, listen, we don't have a nuclear arsenal anymore, so the redefining of what a superpower is at stake right now, right? And I'm kind of going like, so did ENIAC launch also all the materials to make a nuclear bomb again? Like, to me, that like, okay, you launched all the nukes, we're just gonna build them again,
right?
Like, that's where I was like, that doesn't, I get it. Like, I guess day one you couldn't start a war, but give it a month and we'll have more bombs.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I was a little confused on that. I think, again, I'm not a writer. I am not saying, Matt, your story was horrible. I'm not saying that. But I'm just, my 2 cents, it would have been cool if ENIAC just blew up the Earth and still launched himself even further into space. Right. And the Earth just went away.
Been like, I find you lacking, and then just blows up the whole Earth.
Exactly. I think that would have been way cooler. To be honest, like, again, I'm not trying to shit on it. I overall, I enjoyed the ENIAC story. The artwork in this is great. The writing is great. The fucking formatting that Bad Idea has picked up on the cover and all, it's all good. Like, Bad Idea is just a name. The books are phenomenal. They feel great. They read great. Shit, even Tinkers, which is a really weird ass and really kind of a shitty story, still premium. It feels great in your hands and it's fun to read. I just think it would have been cooler, again, in my opinion, if ENIAC just blew up the Earth and, like you said, it would have been like, I'm gonna go find another, essentially acting like a virus and being like, I'm gonna go find another civilization to fuck with. You know what I mean? But in the end, ENIAC had a heart and he spared humanity, and he had this apparently relationship with this girl, and she didn't even know it until he was gone. So I guess there is some definite like meaning, right? But I don't know. I felt like there was a little bit of something. There was something missing, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it missed me. So I'm not disappointed that I read it, but just the very end was a little lackluster.
Yeah, the beginning was definitely hot though. That first book was like, god damn, like it was weird. So anyway, that is ENIAC number 4. We're patiently awaiting for the next idea.
Yes.
All right, our last book of the night until our honorable mentions, and that is Boom Studios. We only find them when they're dead. Number 7. I wish this issue had been issue 6. I mean, I felt like issue 6 was so hard to follow, and it was like, and 50-year jump, and you have no idea what's going on. And issue 7 was like, oh, okay, okay, I can get into that, right? And so I feel like 7 should have been where we started and not 6, because 6 was just so like, the year is 2005, like it just went in this weird direction, and it didn't explain things, I felt like, in my opinion, very well, whereas issue 7 really like, this is what's going on, and you're like, oh, I get it now.
It's a pretty common science fiction trope to do that.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, when you do a time jump like that, to just like throw you in the middle of it, and you just be like, oh my god, I'm so disoriented, what the fuck. Okay, let's fill in the blanks.
Maybe it's because it's a monthly release, and I guess it would have felt more effective if we got this book twice in a month.
Or if you're reading this in a trade, I think it'll play much better.
Oh, for sure.
It's I think the tool's intent was to make the time jump be as jarring as possible on purpose. Was to make you feel very displaced, because this is a world of displacement.
All right, and that's unfortunate because like Robbie, issue 6 made Robbie drop the book. Like he stopped there. He was like, I'm out, I'm done. And it wasn't just because of that. I know he's been a critic of the coloring and the lack of light, and I can see that criticism sometimes in the book. I kind of get lost. Like I'm like I have all my lights on in my room, and I'm like, I can't see what's going on, right? He's had that criticism before, and
I've never noticed. I have not noticed that at all.
There's been a couple, like, in my opinion, there have been somewhere where like there's a light flare where I'm like, I can't tell what's going on. But that was just
light flares have been used way too much,
right? But Robbie dropped it because it just wasn't. It was so, like you said, so jarring. Like he was like, I'm out. And so I don't think he read issue 7. But I actually really enjoyed this. We get, some history behind Malik's former lover and how he's been held hostage. Huh?
Jason,
yeah. And how he's been held hostage by these new, like, God worshippers. And how they don't, they're almost a radical group, right? Like,
they're an extremist group for sure.
And I can see some of the shit that they're saying, like but to the point where you're doing worship, that's where we're getting a little crazy here. But the fact that only the rich get to eat the meat of the gods, and people are profiteering it, I get that. That makes sense. Like, to be upset about that for sure, but to be worshiping a dead body, okay, now we're getting a little weird.
I'm not even gonna comment.
I know. I'm saying in the context of the book. Anyway,
yes.
So we get a backstory of that and how Jason was kind of abducted by this group, and he's been playing along with it for 60 or 30, 40 years, and so now he's an old man, and we've got this girl who's essentially trying to save him and Malik's body. I don't know exactly for what. We don't know that yet. We don't know what her purpose is in doing that. But she's essentially this issue. We find out that she's trying to save him and move George Malik's body to just get it out of there. Which again, how are you going to do that exactly?
Big ship.
Big ship. I enjoyed it. I was able to follow the dialogue a lot better than the previous issue. There wasn't a lot of like jargon being said, and this one it was more like, and here are the stakes, right? And so that's what this issue was for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe what goes on in this book, but essentially, we like you've already said, we get the flashback. We see Jason in his imprisonment, and then we go back to our current timeline where they are. We see that even now Jason's revered as like this really high up person in this community. But he's only there as long as he fits the role that they want. So at one point, they want to go. They have built a citadel, a shrine to Malik that is attached to his body, and she's like, oh, I would love a tour of it. And they're super skeptical of allowing this to happen. And even though Jason's like, I will take them, I'll go with them, they're like, no funny shit, not even you, no funny shit. So we're gonna send like people to watch you. So they go and they get into the Citadel, and it's an ambush, and they kill the guards
pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly. And so now the woman that's there to take the body seems like she's pretty much got what she needs to do that. If I'm being honest, and it's only because I really enjoy this book and I like Al Ewing and I like Simone Demille's work. If you have picked this up and it wasn't your thing, or if you haven't picked this up yet, my advice, I'm going to continue picking it up as singles because I want to support them, but it might be better to read in trades.
Yeah, trade or like a giant Omni.
Or something like that. I just feel like we're relying so much on, like this is comics are serialized storytelling, and sometimes it's supposed to be. We very much move past this world of each issue should stand on its own, but sometimes I do think that each issue is too reliant on what's going to happen next, and obviously you shouldn't be able to pick up issue 6 of this and know what's going on,
right?
But like sometimes it's like, okay, I have to read 3 or 4 issues in a row before it finally starts making a little bit of sense. That can be discouraging sometimes.
No, I definitely agree with that sentiment or that statement. Yeah, I mean, I'm still digging it. I really like the typography on every cover. I think that's so fucking cool. And the coloring is great. The artwork is great. The writing is great. I really do hope this does get picked up for a show. Like, not because I have the #1 and I've got like some incentive covers, just because it's a cool idea. Like, it's a really cool idea.
Yep.
So that is our pull for the week. Now we're going to run into our honorable mentions. I have 2. I think you have 2. I'm going to get through mine really quick. First, I got Teen Academy 2021 yearbook annual. In a nutshell, I don't give a shit about the new characters. And I think the reason why, and I could be, I might be upsetting some people here on that like DC. I think the reason why is because I'm a new DC reader, and so I want to know the team. I want to know the original DC Teen Titans Academy team, and they're just not. They're kind of in the book, but they're not. And then we get these new groups of kids, and I'm like, I'm not seeing the significance in these characters. And I think the only thing, in my view of the book, that's holding it together is this Red X storyline. And we haven't done our DC solicitations video yet, but I know that there's a new Teen Titans book coming out that is like about the team and not these new students. And every time I read this book, I just feel like it's a ripoff of Strange Academy. It really feels that way. And like in Strange Academy, I care about those students. And this one, I'm like, it's been so, I feel like it's been done poorly how to introduce these new characters where I still don't know who they are, and we're 6 issues in, or 5 or 6 issues in, and then we have an annual, and I'm like, I still don't know. And they try to do that in this book. We learn about some new characters, and I'm like, I guess, but I'm still so new to, and my review is solely my opinion on this. It's not like, hey, don't go read this. Like, if you're a big Teen Titan Academy or Teen Titan fan, yeah, go read it, but for me, I'm just still so new that I feel incredibly lost. The only thing that's holding me here is Red X, and so I'm going to continue reading it for that, but the minute he's gone, bye-bye. This is gone.
Yeah.
And then my last book that I have on my honorable is Shang-Chi versus Captain America #2. Really fun book. The artwork in this book is phenomenal. I will say that right now. It's really fun. And we're just seeing kind of a darker side of Shang-Chi in this book. There's a cosmic cube in this book. It's really cool. The Hand, AIM, and some other... Oh, Hydra are all bidding for the cosmic cube in this book. And Shang-Chi has to try to outbid everybody. So he's throwing down billions, that's right, with a B, trying to get this cube. And then at one point, Captain America shows up, starts kicking ass. Super fun. So, it's good. I'm going to continue to read it.
Nice. My two books were this week's. Shit, I already forgot what it's called. War of the Bounty Hunters. That's it. War of the Bounty Hunters tie-in. This is our final stage one, I guess you could call it, issue, where we basically see how Dr. Aphra is going to make her way to this party with the Crimson Dawn, where they're going to auction off Han Solo. I am not caught up on this current run. I just, started picking it up for all the tie-ins and stuff. So there was a little bit of a plot line in here at the very beginning that I didn't really know about, that it gets wrapped up I guess from the previous arc. But other than that, it was just another good issue of tying into the event, but still feeling like its own book. Like, I very much felt like, oh yeah, this is a classic Aphra story. We've got the like impossible odds. We've got the ridiculous humor. We've got the like, what's the word I'm looking for? Moral ambiguity from the character.
Yeah,
it was fun. Not the best tie-in, but I would say that still all of these tie-ins are on another level than what most Marvel tie-ins are.
And I think that's something to say. Like, that's something to put a hat on, because we've definitely dealt with tie-ins where we're like, I mean, somebody else said it in our chat. How tie-ins that don't tie in just really suck.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good thing to have tie-ins that actually matter.
Right. The other book that I had was Image book. This is Made in Korea #2. This is the book that was about the family that gets the robot daughter. They see their rich friends get a robot son, and they're like, "Oh man, we wish we could." And this Korean guy that designed a super intelligent one wanted to see what happens when it goes out in the world. So he basically creates a system to get it to this family. So half this book is about the girl going to school for the first time, because she's super smart. She knows everything. She like read the whole library in a week or something, but she doesn't understand social interactions, and she wants to she wants friends, and she wants to understand social norms. None of it was super standout. It all felt like pretty standard, like, I'm an AI, but I'm trying to learn. Why won't you be my friend? Sort of a thing. Then the other half of the story is the guy that created her sort of spiraling at work and eventually deciding that he's the one that should be raising her. He's the one that should be. And so he goes to America to try to take her back. And he can't speak English at all. And so he shows up at her house, and the mom is there and is like, "What the hell?" And he's like speaking very, very broken English, like, "Oh, I'm from the company and I need to take her back." And she's like, "Yeah, bullshit. That's not happening. Go away." And that was pretty much it for that. I don't know. I'm sure he'll turn up again. That was just really. It was just really strange. There was even this really strange like moment where he was like, because the mom is of Asian American descent too, or is of Asian American descent, and he's speaking in Korean, and he's like, "Why don't you understand me?" And he says that in Korean. She doesn't respond, and he was like, "Why don't you speak Korean?" He says that in English, and she's like, "I'm Chinese, but what are you doing here?" And it was just like a really weird I don't know. It was weird. It was just very weird.
Yeah.
But the thing that made it so weird was a guy that was at this girl's school who was initially a bully to her. While she's at school, basically, like, she's about to start walking home, and is like, "Hey, like, let us give you a ride. Like, come hang out with us." And she's like, "What? I thought you didn't like me." And he's like, No, like, we just misunderstood you at first." And he's like, come hang out with us. We'll show you like what we do after school. And it's like really creepy, because she's very much portrayed as like 9, 10, and they're being portrayed as like 6, 17 years old. And so these two guys take her to the woods, where they have like random couches just sitting there and like targets, and they have a bunch of beer, and they're smoking cigarettes, and they're like, yeah, this is what we do, and like we're hanging out and it's cool. And she's like, I don't understand, like, why are you being nice to me now? And you know, like this is just weird. And he's like, oh, just let me show you like what we do out here. It's really cool. And like, it's seriously, like I was like, if this is going where I think it's going to go, like I'm going to get upset. Like, I'm going to get really upset. And he randomly takes her to this like shed and opens a door, and there's like a bunch of guns in there. And he's like, this is an extra credit homework assignment aside for overachievers like you and me. We've got a spot for one more. Are you interested? And like that's how the book ends.
Okay.
I don't know.
So is there enough mystery and intrigue that you're going to pick up issue 3?
I almost feel like I have to at this point. And if I pick up 3, then I'm gonna have to pick up all 5 because it's just a 5-issue mini. And but like I'm not impressed by this at all. The art is not living up to, or it's not really my style. Right. The writing is really strange. It's kind of choppy. It's not doing anything really interesting. But this last part was so. I mean, the implication of what was going to happen was, to me, very obvious. And then instead, whenever he was like, hey, look at all these cool guns, you want to shoot guns with us? And I was just like, what the fuck? And then the preview of the next issue is like her like holding a gun and them in the background. Like,
okay.
Okay. I don't know. So we'll see. Issue 3 TBD.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
That's it.
Well, that is our honorable mentions for the show. That is the show. Again, if you're here right now and you're watching and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. We are currently in the middle of a milestone giveaway. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers, and at 500 subscribers, we're giving away this 9.4 CGC graded Wolverine #1. Cannot wait to give it away. But when we hit 500, if you are subscribed to the show, you will be entered in automatically to win this book. So go ahead and do that. And if you're watching this as a past episode and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that bell. Give us a like. Unless you don't like it, then hit the dislike button. We're not going to discourage either one. It's a 50-50.
Let us know.
Yeah, we need to know. We need to know what we can do better. But again, be on the lookout on our social on Instagram and Facebook, Two Fat Guys Pull List, for our mystery pull box. What Ron will be giving away as the store exclusive and the key that we'll be giving away for the month of July. So check that out. Go to brainycomics.com and look for the Two Fat Guys Pull List mystery pull box for that. Also, go check out Tone Rodriguez's exclusive on Brainy. It's a killer cover. If you're reading Barbaric and you want to get a cool, very limited edition cover, there's only 500. Go check it out. It's really cool. And as always, like we say it all the time, read more comics. We'll see you guys later. Make sure to watch that comic call video coming out this Wednesday. Later.
Yeah. Bye-bye.